Welcome to J&D's currently unnamed podcast. We are live to videotape today. Not all the time, but today we're live to videotape because we wanted to go lo-fi. We wanted to go old school.
Yeah, sure. We'll call it videotape.
And today,
Wait, introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah, I'm Jay.
I'm D.
There we go.
Thank you.
And today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about... what are we talking about?
I've totally forgotten.
Are we talking about Star Wars? Is that what we're going to
Yeah, we're talking about Star Wars.
We're going to talk Star Wars, which we're not often allowed to do. We've made a rule.
The rule is because it's Star Wars, we will talk forever.
Far too long.
And I don't even think we have like a topic. The topic is literally just Star Wars.
Yeah, how long can we nerd out? That's what we're doing. So today, while we talk about Star Wars for the special occasion, we're going to be drinking a dram of Tomintoul, 12-year-old Oroloso sherry cask finish Scotch. We're not drinking the whole bottle. We're having some.
Yeah, we're having some. Just so you understand the partnership here, I do all the technical stuff, and Jay here is the whiskey connoisseur.
Yeah, I usually host these little events between the two of us, and I often have a lot of booze in my house because I guess I'm a deadbeat. How about that?
Yeah, I just know that there's alcohol, and it is kind of the color of maple syrup and apple juice. And that is basically the extent of my understanding of whiskey or bourbon or scotch.
This specific one that we're drinking is the age of a 12-year-old boy. It's 12 years old. And it is a Speyside Glenlivet from the Speyside region of Scotch, which means nothing. Scotland, sorry, which means nothing to Danny over here.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
It's a little bit spicy. It's a little bit fruity.
Okay, I'm gonna try some of this.
Here we go.
Cheers.
Here we go. I'm a bigger fan of it now than I used to be.
Yeah, it totally tastes like Scotch or whiskey.
Tastes like Scotch. Yeah, it's a whiskey.
I'm not getting notes of anything. I'm more of a beer connoisseur.
That's true.
So when we're talking about beer, that's the shit that I know. And that's because beer is easy. You have malts, you have hops, and then you have adjuncts. And that's pretty much beer.
Okay.
And adjuncts is basically the shit that isn't malts. It's like rice and corn and whatever Coors adds to its fucking beer.
Okay. So this is a single malt from Scotland, and single malts are very basic in the amount of ingredients you can put into something. So generally the flavor will come from the cask. It has water, and it has
it has water.
Something else in it. And this third thing is whatever makes a single malt. So I'm sorry, I'm not that knowledgeable about whiskey. I read about it, but I forget everything that I read.
Okay, it is actually it's very good. It's kind of sweet. It has a nice.
It is a bit sweet.
Yeah.
It's also called the Gentle Dram. I see that on its label right here.
Yeah, it doesn't burn too much. It's not like eating a fiery coal.
No, it doesn't have a lot of pee to it either.
Nope. All right, so I think we're moving on to Star Wars. Fuck, man, where do you want to start off with Star Wars?
Let's start at the end. Let's start at the movie we're looking forward to seeing.
Oh, The Force Awakens.
Right. Terrible name, but not that terrible.
They all have terrible names.
A New Hope is not a bad name. The Empire Strikes Back is a great name.
The Empire Strikes Back is a great name. Return of the Jedi is
a fine name.
It's a fine name. Attack of the Clones
is a terrible name.
The Phantom Menace is the worst name.
One.
Revenge of the Sith is a good name.
Bad movie.
But
not the worst movie. It has two movies which are worse than it.
You know what?
But not by far.
Can we start off at Revenge of the Sith? Because I have something to get off my chest. Thing about Revenge of the Sith.
No.
is that it is 20 minutes of a Star Wars movie. It is the only movie that of the prequel trilogy that I consider Star Wars.
Okay.
And it is the first 20 minutes of the movie minus whatever buzz fucking droids are on their ship. Just remove that shit.
I don't remember the first 20 minutes of the movie. What happens?
That's where they're rescuing Palpatine. Yeah, basically those 20 minutes, I feel like George Lucas finally remembered the fun parts of Star Wars.
Wow. That is... No. You keep talking.
Okay.
I think what you're saying is a shocking... I didn't think that was fun.
It was as close.
In our last podcast, we were mentioning something about like space battles and how the frame is too filled and
Okay,
too
no.
complicated.
I'm not talking about the battle part.
Okay.
Not the battle part. Once they get on onto the bad guy's ship, General Grievous's
Right.
capital ship.
Another character I thought was completely
Yes,
offensive.
it's stupid. But basically, the interaction between Anakin and Obi-Wan was very reminiscent of the original trilogy.
Yeah, I'll buy that because finally Anakin's a
Not
little
a-
bit older. He's less of a petulant child. He's still a petulant child.
Yeah.
Or he's not a 7-year-old, which is amazing. And Obi-Wan is allowed to play Obi-Wan a little bit, which in the previous movies it didn't seem he was able to do.
Yeah.
Or they gave Obi-Wan just, it was so terrible. Bad lines, a lot of bad dialogue is in all of the movies. I know this. And yet it's forgivable in Star Wars and Empire, whereas beyond that it is not at all.
Yeah, I agree
Right?
with that, yeah.
And I with Jedi, you kind of just be like, whatever, you just get through it. But with these 3 movies, the dialogue is so horrendous, over the top, and it is so.
It's because they're not allowed to use contractions. I cannot love you, as well as like, I can't love you.
No, that's not it. You're wrong about that.
But still, they're more likely to talk like Data from Star Trek, which does
you know
not
what?
make a love story.
No, but I mean, you can still make Data from Star Trek something that's watchable.
Yeah, that's
whereas
because
they
have
did
Brent
not do that.
Spiner as Data.
I don't agree.
Okay.
I think the movies. I think the dialogue is one of the many reasons why those movies are terrible.
Yes.
Another reason is because there's a documentary I watched recently called "The People versus
George Lucas.
Have you
I haven't
seen this?
actually seen it. Surprisingly, I haven't watched it. I'm surprised
it's-
I'm not in it, to be honest.
It's not great, but if you're a fan of Star Wars, a lot of the things you'll hear people say are things. It's like it's aping your emotions or feelings or whatever, right? And some of it you're just like, okay, that's not me, but somebody else I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And this is something where you're like, at what point, if you put art out in the world, is it now theirs? It's not mine anymore. It's not the thing that I want to tell. It's not my story anymore. Now it's just me pleasing the people who want to watch this. Star Wars is an amazing example of that because it probably has the largest amount of people who will go back and still love the product in whatever way that they choose to do so. I don't buy anything. I'll buy the movies. I've got the movies on DVD and I've got the movies on VHS. One day I'll buy the movies in 3D in front of my face where it's always accessible to my eyes or whatever. But I don't know what that format is yet.
Yep.
But that one day I'll do that. I'm not going to do Blu-ray. I've decided to skip Blu-ray. Fuck Blu-ray.
You know, no, we're not getting into that. Like
Yeah.
when Blu-ray and HD DVD when they first came out, I was like, I don't understand. They're already, it's already done. Nobody's doing this. Everyone's be like downloading movies in HD as opposed to.
Yes.
So I always thought Blu-ray was kind of like done before it even started, and
But they're still selling Blu-rays. It's
they're
part
still
of the market,
selling
right?
Blu-rays, but still not to the amount that they thought they'd be selling them.
No, absolutely. But it's also the level of permanence, right? And
Yep.
then there's the amount of theft that exists out in the world where you can just steal a movie from.
Which neither
The
of us do, NSA.
Well, and I've never done that.
No.
I'm not aware of the methods to do that,
Me neither.
but I know that I know there are pirates out there, but these pirates exist only on the internet or in the Philippines.
That is the disclaimer for today. Anyway, so going back to Star Wars.
Yes, forget about internet pirates and let's go back to Star Wars pirates. People who have pirated my brain and mind and unfortunately things that I like. So George Lucas has made this horrible trilogy of prequels, and I think most people who originally saw Star Wars any time before the 90s, really, or any time before the aughts,
Yes.
if having seen that, this is your next. These are the next 3 projects you're going to see. You're disappointed. Whereas if you're a 5-year-old, this is the first thing you saw. A lot of times I see this all the time. Not all the time, but I've heard other people tell me about this. The kids don't actually realize that Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker are 2 different characters. They don't understand what's happening.
Yes, because they're like 5.
They're 5. They're young. They're dumb.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm pretty sure that if I was 5, to be honest, I don't remember the first time I saw Star Wars.
I do
Um.
because I got in trouble.
Okay. Well, because my story isn't fun. I just remember Star Wars always being there. For me, it's like I was watching this in the womb. That's how it was for me. It's like I just remember Star Wars as long as I could remember it. So I don't remember the first time I saw it.
It was airing on network television. That's the first time I saw it. I knew it was on television. My parents hadn't seen it, and they were watching it on network television. My parents are immigrants. I'm an immigrant. I was a very young child when we came from India.
Country.
Well, maybe later, but I mean,
my parents,
right now.
My parents are immigrants. I was born here, though.
Oh, there you go. So I wasn't. I was actually not born here, and so I remember. I don't know what year this was, but let's say it was like 85 or something, or 84.
Okay.
They're watching it on television at like, I don't know, let's say 7 o'clock. It starts playing on CBS, and I snuck out of my room into the. The whole thing was dark. They had the lights turned off, and then I just crawled up, and I was kind of sitting next to the couch where they couldn't see me.
Is this something that happens all the? Because I used to do this with my parents all the time. I used to like sneak out of my room.
Yeah.
Me and my two brothers, we'd like hang out like near the couch in secret.
Yeah.
And our parents, they always knew that we were there. We found this out like years and years later. It's like, yeah, we knew you were there. You weren't sneaky. You guys were stupid because we were children. Remember, people, children are stupid.
I actually think I did get in trouble because I didn't see the whole movie. But they recorded it for me. They were recording Star Wars for me and my sister, and which was illegal technically, I guess.
Yeah, your parents are pirates.
Yeah, my parents were pirates. Who knew? Filipinos. They're not Filipino. But I'm sitting there next to the couch and I'm watching, I don't know, half an hour of this movie or something like that, and then I got in some trouble and then got sent back to bed. I mean, actually, the wall between my bedroom and the television at the time was just a wall. There was a television here, wall. Then there was my head. So
you just stuck your head against the wall to hear the rest of it.
No, I couldn't tell what was going on. It didn't play very loud.
I will tell you that when I was a kid, because again, for me, I can't even remember the first time I saw it. It was always there. But I do remember when I was like 9 or 10 going to the Blockbuster and being really pissed off that I still can't find the first 3 movies. I for years I went looking for episodes 1, 2, and 3 because I knew that episodes.
What do you mean?
Because
in the 80s or 90s or whatever?
Yeah, in the 80s and 90s.
You couldn't find Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3? They didn't rent them out?
No, because this is like 1989, 1990. Because there was no Episode 1, 2, and 3. Because I'm a kid. For me, it's like it starts off at A New Hope, which is episode
It's just Star Wars. Just Star Wars, right?
Well,
the first movie.
Yeah, but it says Episode 4 in the scroll.
Yeah.
And then Empire Strikes Back says Episode 5, and then Return of the Jedi says Episode 6.
Right.
So my stupid child brain is going, well, where's Part 1, 2, and 3?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I could never find these. I just could not find Episodes 1, 2, and 3. And I would go to like every video store that was anywhere close to I would get on my bike and go to a new video store like every month.
Man, you sound dumb.
I was very dumb.
How come no one told you?
Because they said, oh, we don't have it.
What do you mean?
They just...
they didn't tell you that it didn't exist?
Yeah, they never told me it didn't exist until like a Blockbuster opened up in my neighborhood. And they're like, they haven't made those.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shocking.
So for like several years, I went looking for Episode 1, 2, and 3. And eventually I figured out there was no Episode 1, 2, and 3.
That I did not have that issue.
But the thing about it is it tells you how much I love Star Wars. And another anecdote about how much I love Star Wars, I think I've told you this story before. In 1999...
Oh, God.
When Episode 1 first came out, I saw it in theaters 4 times.
That's a mistake. That was too many times.
That was too many times. But the reason is, if you've ever been in a abusive relationship, you'll understand this.
Okay.
The whole idea is, I remember watching it like the day that it came out, and I remember watching it, and it was bad. Like it was terrible.
Bad.
It was very, very bad. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. This is a terrible movie.
So this is the experience that so many people had.
I've been like, I spent years looking for this movie, not understanding that it didn't exist. And then it finally came out like a decade later. And then I saw it and I'm like, this is terrible. But because I've been looking forward to this movie for so long, my brain was like, no, the movie is great. There's something wrong with me. I don't understand why it's great.
So you should watch this documentary because you're gonna see things in people that you yourself have experienced.
Yeah, and so like I saw it like another 3 more times at the Eglinton Theater here in town when it was still like $2 to watch a movie. Do you remember that?
I didn't live here then. I lived in Montreal.
Oh, that's right. So
I'm French Canadian.
Sorry, not Edmonton. The Eden Center. The Eden Center had like a small little movie theater, and it was like $2 a movie. You basically pay a toonie. You see a movie.
I'm still French Canadian.
Yeah. So I saw it like 4 times altogether. And every single time I saw it, I'm like, it's still a bad movie. But, I need to see it again because I'm missing something. And then by the 4th one, it's like, no, I'm not missing anything. This is just terrible.
It is terrible.
I'm so sad.
So my experience with that was I went to see it. I don't know. I think a friend of mine stood in line somewhere, or we were able to get tickets the day of, but not the first screening or anything like that. Like it was the kind of thing where it was running for 24 hours.
Yep.
At every theater. And yeah, so we got tickets for like 4 p.m. the day of, and then we went to see it, and it was a Friday or a Thursday. I think it was a Friday. We went to see it. Me and my buddy Samson and some other people, and it wasn't good. And we recognized that on a certain level that it wasn't good, but we didn't fully comprehend how much we didn't like it. I think Samson might have actually liked it at the first viewing.
Nobody liked it. They just said that they did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You said that you did because you don't know how else to react, right? You don't know what you just saw, and you think maybe this is the beginning, and then later it'll be better, and this is going to fit into the framework of what the future is, right? And then I went to see it again that night. My sister came to town. She lived here in Toronto at the time.
Yep.
Or maybe she lived in New Hampshire. I'm not sure where she was living. She came to town, and then me and my 2 friends who also hadn't seen it, said, let's go right now. And then we went to see it at like midnight or 11:30.
Yep.
And I'm in there watching it intently. One of my friends fell asleep in the theater. And I don't know if he had seen it yet. And these guys are big Star Wars fans too. And my sister was confused and actually probably didn't give a shit anymore. And that's when I realized I didn't like it. I realized the same day on my second viewing.
So what you're saying is you're smarter than I am because it only required 2 viewings of it.
Maybe I'm just more jaded than you are. But yeah, I'm watching the second viewing and I'm like, no, I don't like it. I don't like what they did. I don't like what this is. That guy, I like that guy with the red face or whatever, and then they killed him at the end. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Who is that kid?
You know what? Ray Park is Darth Maul.
The little kid.
Oh, fuck him.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel really bad for Jake Lloyd.
I do now, having seen some of the stuff of what he's had to go through in his life, because this has ruined his life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow, we were supposed to be talking about The Force Awakens.
No, but I mean, we kind of knew this is what was going to happen.
Yeah, pretty much. Anytime we talk about Star Wars, it just goes fucking off the rails.
This is why we don't talk about Star Wars on our podcast.
This is going to be like 100 hours long. This is going to be like the 100-hour podcast.
We're not going to do more than 30-some-odd minutes.
Yeah. And we're starting to come up on that.
We're about halfway through, I thought.
No, we're 18. We're 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Something like that. So, yeah. Okay, I didn't enjoy the prequels. My friends were actually the ones who started off the Star Wars long line here in Toronto. That's where they waited in line for a week to watch it.
Oh my God.
Those are my friends. Admittedly, I met them after episode 1 had come out because I didn't wait in line. And surprisingly, even though they kept doing it for episodes 2 and episodes 3, I had never done the long line because I had other things to do with my life. I was working.
I've never sat in a line.
Yeah,
for tickets for something.
They did, and to this day, they're still friends of mine. And I remember asking them when The Force Awakens episode 7 was announced, like, "Are you guys doing this?" They're like, "No fucking way. They are not doing it." They're like, "We did that for the prequels. We're done. We're never."
I mean, that was 15 years ago.
That was 15 years ago. They were teenagers at the time. I was a teenager at the time. So, but basically, it's become mainstream.
It's totally mainstream at this point.
It is totally mainstream, but at the time, it wasn't. And for me,
I don't think so. I felt more like it's kind of like it's almost like a like showing your badge or something like that, and be like, "Oh, you're one of us." You know what I mean? Like, so I'd be like, "Oh, good, we can shit on this fucking thing." It became way more. My conversations about Star Wars were way more prevalent after those prequels because we were just shitting on the thing, right?
Yep.
I do have a couple of friends that are very much into Star Wars, and so we could talk about it. We just didn't talk about it all the time. We just all knew that we liked the movies.
Yeah.
And I remember with that same group of people, doing like a marathon of all 6 movies, where legitimately the movies played, and we all were in a different room for all but maybe 1 or 2 of them. So they were playing, we were drinking and playing cards in a different room, except for 1 or 2 guys. And those guys just wanted to do that, and that's fine, and they enjoyed doing that. And it started at like noon, and it finished at probably midnight or something. And I didn't watch much of any of those prequels, and I did watch Star Wars, and I did watch Empire, and then I stopped. I didn't watch Jedi, and then I went back to drinking, and and there were a lot of people there. There were like 20, 30 people there, and it was fun.
Jedi is a really weird movie, I find, in that, again, for me, Jedi has the best space battle in history. There's just whatever they did to make that space battle was perfect.
I never thought about it before, but your accounting of it, yeah, I do enjoy that one.
Yeah.
There's something about the scope and size of different ships and how small the X-Wings are in comparison to these larger ships.
Yeah.
And then how small those ships are in compared to the Death Star, which adds some kind of gravity there, which I enjoyed. And also just the way that it played against Luke's battle with Darth Vader and then the Emperor being destroyed and stuff. It was all very enjoyable to me, and I do like that first movie and that space battle also, but the scope is not recognizable.
No.
Yeah.
The thing, you should probably touch on the original trilogy, because basically all we're doing is shitting on the prequels, which everyone does.
But we do that because we love the original movies.
Yeah.
Right?
And we grew up on them. And every time I try to rewatch the prequel trilogies, it's become sort of like Stockholm Syndrome, that they exist, and you just have to get used to them and like them. And
I'm actually currently in the midst of forcing my girlfriend to watch all of them.
Are you?
She hasn't seen the prequel movies. So she's now seen Attack of the Clones, and she's now seen the Phantom Menace. We haven't watched Revenge of the Sith, because honestly, nobody wants to watch it. I don't really want to watch it, but I want her to see it.
Yep.
But the reason I want her to see it is because I also want her to see the 90-minute reviews.
Oh, the Red Letter Media.
The Red Letter Media reviews.
Those aren't 90 minutes. Those are like 3 hours long, man.
Whatever it is, they're
longer
very
than
good.
the actual movie, man.
Yeah, and some of the stuff he shows, and some of the footage he shows in there, which are probably from Blu-ray extra features and stuff like that. I'm like, this stuff is great.
Yep.
I don't know where you got that from. I've never seen that before.
No, I to be honest, the Red Letter Media reviews of those movies are way more entertaining than the actual movies themselves.
It almost like they justify those movies.
Okay.
Almost.
Did I ever tell you what my number one problem? Like, I have lots of problems with the prequel trilogies, but my number one problem, the overall problem that I have with the prequel trilogies, it's very simple to explain. You have a series. It's called Star Wars. Episodes 4, 5, and 6. That Star War, specifically, is the rebellion against the Empire. In episode 1, 2, and 3, that Star War is the Clone Wars, which happens off-screen. They literally skip the entire war part of Star Wars throughout the entire movie, the entire 3 movies that the prequels were. It's basically...
I mean, you see the end of it at the...
You see the beginning of it at the end...
In Revenge of the Sith.
Of Attack of the Clones, and you see the end of it at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
But imagine, like, watching the original trilogy, and the beginning of the rebellion is at the end of Empire Strikes Back, and the end of the rebellion happens at the beginning of Return of the Jedi.
I will say this, though. The war is actually very much not exposed in those movies.
It still is. It's still a part of it. Like
it's a part of it, but it's kind of like...
introduce Luke into the rebellion about halfway through A New Hope.
But it's not about that, right? The story is about Luke.
No, but it's still the background. It's still called Star Wars. You need a Star War.
It's called Star Wars, which is
you
fine.
need a war to be called Star Wars.
While I understand what you're saying,
yeah,
I don't think it's necessarily a problem, because if the story was good, the story would be good.
If the
story wasn't good,
if the story was good, it would be good. But I just find it dumb that you have a series called Star Wars and there's no war in it.
Okay. I mean, I'll say this. The story you want to see is about Anakin. You do want to see Anakin Skywalker become Darth Vader, and you want to know about the Jedi. You want to know more about what the world was or the universe was like previous to the Star Wars films and the Civil War that they were in at that point.
I have to, before you go into that, I have to ask, because this is my experience. When you watch a New Hope and Obi-Wan Kenobi is talking about the Clone Wars, I was a Jedi like your father. I served in the Clone Wars.
I didn't give a shit at the time.
Really?
When I was a little kid, I didn't give a fuck about that.
But
I'm looking at Luke doing this weird thing with his arm.
But when
and this
Episode
blue
1 is like announced, were you looking forward to the Clone Wars? Because I was totally looking forward to the Clone Wars.
Yes, but I wasn't looking forward to seeing the Clone Wars. I wanted to know what they were. I wanted to know what they were going to say the Clone Wars were. What it ended up being, I thought it was not a great idea.
Yeah.
Right? If it was about like, we have wars and all we do is send clones to fight each other, that would have been more interesting to me. Be like, they're so out of touch that they just build clones to fight other clones. That would have been better than the Roger robots and then
Roger.
What's his name? The Jar Jar Binks character. And like a lot of the things that were introduced were things that I did not want to happen. So what was it that disappointed you the most, really, with those prequels?
Besides the prequels themselves?
I mean, within the frame of the prequels, right?
Okay. I honestly, it was Anakin. The character of Anakin was the thing that ruined the prequels, because it not only ruined the prequels, it ruined the original trilogy a little bit.
Let me ask you a question. What did you think Anakin would have been before he was Vader?
Before he was Vader? I felt that...
Because you had 25 years to think about it or something like that, or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah,
Right?
no, like 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years to think about it. I thought he'd be like far nobler.
Yeah.
It's you want this sort of like Shakespearean fall.
Sort of. I also thought he would be like this big badass samurai type, dude who was honestly who looks a lot more like The Rock than he does look like a swimmer, or he was very skinny, whatever. And I get where they're going with that, but I'm not into it. It's not what I wanted. Darth Vader needs to be imposing, and he never was in those movies. He was an irritate.
He was irritating and whiny.
Yeah,
and I can't see how any girl would fall in love with him. Like
that actor, sure, he's not a bad he's not a bad looking guy.
No, but Hayden Christensen. Thing is that he's actually a pretty good actor. If you've seen him in other roles, it's just in Star Wars he's terrible.
I mean, I've only seen him in one role where I thought he was a good actor, which is Life is a House.
Yeah, but still, like, he can act. Natalie.
I don't know if that's true.
Natalie Portman can act.
Natalie Portman can act,
but not in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it just
Ewan McGregor.
But Ewan McGregor was probably the best part of like the original. Or sorry, the prequel trilogy.
I don't know. I didn't think so. I found him kind of one of the more irritating parts.
Yeah, but he was still... This is the problem with the prequel trilogy, is that Ewan McGregor was probably the best actor in the film, minus Liam Neeson in the first one.
Oh, Liam Neeson was fine.
Liam Neeson was
so
fine.
Comfortable. He seemed like he was just he didn't have any special set of skills. I'll give him that. He wasn't trying to find his daughter, his wife. He at no point did he, make eyes at Famke Janssen. But I will say that he, I don't have a problem with anything that Liam Neeson did. I have a problem with the lines that he was given to deliver.
Yeah, he delivered them as well as anyone could possibly deliver those lines.
And he wasn't a great character really, but I mean, yeah, Liam Neeson was like the perfect person to play like an older kind of Jedi, right?
This is the thing that I would have liked to have seen in the prequel trilogy. So you have like this Count Dooku part, right? So what happens if you took Liam Neeson's role and you melded that with Count Dooku? You have Obi-Wan's master becoming this guy who's against the Republic. He's basically...
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. And
I'm totally into that, because also what starts out as the Separatists ends up being the Rebellion.
Yeah.
Right?
This whole idea of like, Count Dooku starting the Separatist agenda, whatever the fuck that is. on behest of his master is, I don't know. It seems kind of trite. I feel like there's a lot of good points that the Separatists could make in actually making Palpatine manipulate that entire sort of environment into the idea that you have these two factions. And they're both right. You have like this old republic that's been around for 25 generations.
But is now that's the thing they didn't really show, right?
Yeah.
They never showed you that the Republic, yes, was bloated and gross and the bureaucracy was stupid and then the people in charge are actually not great anymore.
Yeah.
And that would have been nice. Been like, yes, this needs to be washed away. And that's what this does.
And just the idea of having Obi-Wan having to face against his master would be amazing. Like they're basically two people who grew together, then they grew apart, and they're on opposite sides. That brings back that sort of emotional quality.
Yes, that would have been better. And then that one scene where you've got Obi-Wan and Dooku changes completely if Dooku's actually Qui-Gon Jinn, and then suddenly you've got he convinces Obi-Wan that on some level he convinces him he's wrong and lets him go.
Yeah.
Right? That would have been better.
There's this whole thing about all the lightsaber fights in the prequel trilogy have no emotional quotient to them. Like in A New Hope, you have Obi-Wan against Darth Vader, and there's an obvious history there.
Right.
You have Luke against Darth Vader, and there's a really obvious history there. And then you do that again in Return of the Jedi, and it doesn't matter that choreographically, those fights are shit compared to the prequel trilogy. The prequel trilogy, the choreography is way better. But because of the emotional connection isn't there, who the fuck cares if Obi-Wan is fighting General Grievous? Nobody fucking cares. There's no emotional...
I mean, we knew there were going to be a lot more. I mean, my problem with that is that there were 4 lightsaber battles or 3 in the prequel trilogy, in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Then you get to the prequels, and there's a lot. Of course, there's got to be lots more. There's a lot more Jedis, right? My problem is that suddenly you put the Jedis in that arena in the second movie, and these guys can't fucking. Everybody's dying. Constantly.
Yeah.
You guys are so weak that suddenly the idea of this lightsaber and the idea of the Jedi are no longer powerful or interesting.
Yeah.
They're just guys with swords, right? And you could have done that. No, you know what? The story should have been far more about Jedi. That's what those movies should have been about.
Yep.
About those monks in this situation. If there's a separatist stuff, that's fine with me too. But it's just not the movies they made, and we can't change them.
Yeah, and they're still considered canon.
That's what they're going to be, and that's the way it is. We can't change them. And that's the way it works. But in a perfect world, let's just do those over. They're shitty. People are going to go see them.
I feel like I don't want to do them over. I just want to just forget about them.
I want them.
Yeah, sure. That happened.
Yeah, you're right. That's also true.
Let's just move on.
Yeah,
that was a shitty time. It was shitty movies. Let's move on.
I'm also of the opinion that I don't really care about prequels most of the time. Right? I'd rather see what happens next to the characters I give a shit about.
Yep.
If it's about their kids, as long as they're connected, then I might care. But the second you take those original people away, then I care a lot less. So a good example of that to me is the show that you haven't seen yet, which is the Legend of Korra. In relation to Avatar, I thought Avatar was a fantastic cartoon series that lasted for 2-3 years, 3-4 years. I'm not sure how long.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get to the sequel series, it's about like his grandkids are involved, his son's involved, and then sometimes you'll see some of the various characters that you remember from the old series, but they're 60 years older than when they were like 12.
Yeah, that's good.
Every time I saw those old characters, I'm like, that's what I want. That's interesting to me. But these new characters, somewhat less. So I was less interested in that, even though it was a very good.
I have to say that with the, I do know that George Lucas turned in an idea for a sequel trilogy, and when Disney bought them, they just threw that out.
Really?
Yeah, George Lucas has said that he has no idea what's happening because he turned in this idea for sequel trilogy, and it doesn't look like they're using any
of his ideas.
Any of his ideas. They might have adapted it. How much do you know about the history
Of
The Force Awakens. Let's go into The Force Awakens right now. Let's go into episode 7.
Good, because we got it. We can't do this for much longer.
So the whole idea was that George Lucas sold Lucasfilm, and he gave them this idea for another 3 movies. And I can't remember who's writing it. I'd have to look it up. But basically, they hired someone who was from Pixar to write it. And that got thrown out because J.J. Abrams was brought on board, and he basically fired him. Brought on Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote
Empire.
Yeah.
And Jedi, I think.
I think he wrote part of Jedi, too. Yeah.
I think he co-wrote Jedi, and he co-wrote...
He definitely did Empire.
Yeah, he's obviously the big stamp on Empire.
Yeah. So basically, he brought him in, and they rewrote it, and the idea was to give the original stars of the original trilogy more screen time to make it
great.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Even though when I see them, I'm severely disappointed they didn't do this 10 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
Because some of them don't look good. Some of them, is anyone dead? No one died yet.
No one's died yet. Okay, no, Harrison Ford almost died in a plane.
Harrison Ford almost died in a plane. And I mean, that's the thing. It's been a banner year for Harrison Ford. He like goes to work and then suddenly breaks his clavicle or something like that, and then he crashes a plane, a la fucking The Aviator.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
And the thing was that J.J. Abrams apparently was trying to push for May 2016 release date. He was trying to push the pushed release date again. And
I mean, to me, it should be a May opening on just what they do, right? It should be a May opening.
Okay,
but that's fine that it's not, because I'm happy to watch it.
Here's the thing. So apparently, what's happened is they announced the Episode 8 release date, and it is May for Episode 8.
2017.
2018.
That's fine.
Or is it 2017? No, it's 2017. You're right. 2017.
Okay.
So basically, it's going to be May 2017 with Rian Johnson directing, which I think is going to be great.
Who's Rian Johnson?
He did Brick. He did that Looper with Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Sure. Where the only bad thing was that they changed Joseph Gordon-Levitt's face.
Yes. They gave him makeup. But basically...
That wasn't makeup. That was CG.
Was it CG? No, they also did makeup.
I'm sure they did.
It was makeup, a little bit CG.
Yeah.
But basically, they try to make him look like
Bruce
young Bruce Willis.
Which was a mistake. Because we get it. We're human beings. We get it.
They're the same character. We understand that they are indeed different actors playing the same part.
Exactly.
But still, Rian Johnson, his aesthetic is very... It's very Return of the Jedi. Or not Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back. He does slightly darker kind of films. So he's good for the middle movie of the new trilogy. And
that's who's dead. The director of Empire.
Yeah.
Because he would have been great.
He would have been great. But the idea, what I've heard is that Disney is starting to see footage coming in from The Force Awakens, and they want J.J. Abrams to do Episode 9.
Okay.
So apparently they weren't really sure about J.J. Abrams. Apparently they had issues with where he was going.
Listen, it's Star Wars. You can't be sure of anything anymore.
You can be sure that it's not going to be as bad as The Phantom Menace. I don't think anything would be bad as that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much we've already seen what the bottom of the barrel looks like. Yeah. It looks like Jar Jar Binks.
Yo, wait. We say that now, but we don't know because they're making 40 movies in the next 3 years. So that being the case, we could find a new bottom to that barrel.
It's true.
The barrel could be deeper than we realized.
I know that you're not watching Star Wars Rebels, but I really enjoy it actually.
I'm not doing it. I don't want it. I don't want to do that. I refuse to do that.
I feel like you should watch it. Just do a marathon. It's only like
it's not going to happen.
14 episodes. Just fucking do it, man.
It's not going to happen for me.
Okay.
Maybe afterwards, if I'm inspired and I'm like, I can't wait another year for Star Wars, something like that.
Did you do Clone Wars? You didn't do Clone Wars.
Some of it.
Okay, you didn't like that. Same people are doing that.
No. I watched some of it because I watched it on Netflix. I did a Netflix kind of like when I had some time on my hands. I'm like, when I have some time, I will just go ahead and power through this stuff. And I was not willing to sit through every episode.
You know what? I had the same reaction too. Like they had like 2 to 3 episode story arcs.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're good.
Which I actually like that they did that.
Yep.
But it's still not It's not what I need Star Wars to be.
I feel like those episodes, if done in live action, would have made a better Star Wars movie, to be honest. I feel like the character...
Then the prequels.
Yeah.
Sure, but it's still not a story that I need to see. You know
no.
what I mean?
And I feel like there was a lot of like spinning of their wheels because they can't really change Obi-Wan between episode 2 and episode 3.
There you go. They can't really deal with any of the stuff you want them to deal with. So all you're watching is this character played by a different voice actor who sounds a little bit like Ewan McGregor, kind of moving around. And then there's no real plot points, and there's not really a lot that can fit into canon.
And that's what I like about Star Wars Rebels. The characters are brand new, and anything could happen to them. They're growing. And as I watch the season,
no, I'm. The thing is, I don't need to see more of the Star Wars universe, right? Which is what they're doing. I know that they're doing that with, a Boba Fett movie and a Yoda.
It's not above. It's what's her name? She played. She was in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Felicity Jones.
Emma Stone.
No. Felicity Jones.
Okay.
She's the main character in the first standalone movie.
Whatever. Whatever it's going to be, it's fine. I don't know that I'm going to be into it. I actually may not see every Star Wars movie that comes out in the theaters, which is something I never thought I'd say.
I will.
But what's interesting to me is the crux of what was interesting in those first movies, right? It's these characters, the idea of the Force, and then the Empire and the Rebellion and the New Republic or whatever it is. I don't know what it's all going to be in these new movies. Maybe there's still going to be an Empire out there. Maybe
there definitely has to be because they have stormtroopers.
Who knows what the stormtroopers are doing now, right?
I figure that it takes a long time before any party sort of like becomes the dominant party. Like 30 years is not that much if you're talking about a galaxy-wide government. So as far as I understand, it's going to be sort of like a standstill Cold War kind of thing going on.
Yeah, which is fine with me too, even though I kind of wished it didn't have to be the Empire anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I kind of wish that there was something else to fight against other than the goddamn Empire.
I actually
because you defeated them as far as I was concerned in like 82 or whatever it was.
To be 83. To be honest, I feel like that's where they're going. This is just background. One character is the main character. He's a stormtrooper. And you have another character who's not a stormtrooper. Is Daisy Ridley Ray.
Wait, is he actually a stormtrooper?
He's actually a stormtrooper.
Oh, I thought he was just like in a suit, like a la Luke and Han in the first fucking movie.
No. He was like conscripted to become a stormtrooper.
Oh.
So what I feel
he's
is
a black guy. We're going to cut that out.
Yeah, we're totally going to. No, we're not. I get editing on this. You're dark skinned, so.
Oh, that's right. I'm okay.
Yeah, you're fine. I can't say that shit because
Portuguese.
I'm European. Anyway, so what I understand is that he's an actual stormtrooper, and he's basically defecting, and the whole Empire Rebellion thing is now going to be a sort of like world building. It's a background thing. I don't believe that the next 3 movies are going to be necessarily about the rebellion or whatever the alliance is called now against the Empire. I feel like that's just background story. And that's no longer going to be like the major plot point of the next 3 films.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to be. I don't know. I mean, I feel I'm a little bit interested because I'm in the situation that I was in 99 where you're like, I want to go see this movie and I wonder what it's going to be. And I think it's going to be great because it's Star Wars and I love Star Wars. But,
yeah, the prequel trilogy is sort of like taking a little bit of the air out of those sails.
Yeah, it's taking the steam out of us. We're all nervous.
And so for me, I'm looking forward to the sequel trilogy, but I'm also kind of
nervous and curious.
And because I've gone through the whole prequel trilogy fiasco, I am kind of like reserved in how much I'm looking forward to it because I've already been let down 3 times.
I consider it all one time, really, maybe twice, because at a certain point the writing was on the wall, and I didn't think it was going to get better.
Yeah. With Revenge of the Sith, I was like, I know this is going to be bad. I'm going to watch in the movie theaters. I've seen the previous 2 in the movie theaters. I'm just going to get this over with. That's how Revenge of the Sith was for me.
I mean, at the time, it was a matter of course I have to go see this in theater.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen again, right?
Yep.
As far as I was concerned, when I saw that third prequel, I was under the impression that was the last time I was going to see Star Wars in the theater. I didn't think they would make more movies. I thought it was done. I think that this was the nail in the coffin.
Yep.
Right? So I was going to go to the nail in the coffin.
Because that's what George Lucas said. It's like, I'm not making another one.
And that's fine. I was okay with that. After having seen those movies, I'm like, I don't want to see another one.
It's true. And to be honest, after watching Revenge of the Sith, I really haven't watched the original trilogy since.
Wow.
It's just, I know. I see it. I've been looking at that. Yeah. Jay has this Star Wars. It's the only thing on that fucking shelf. There's like a couple of empty CD cases, hard drive,
a lot of dust,
a PlayStation 3 that looks like a PS3.
That's a PS3. It functions as a DVD/Blu-ray player.
Yeah, and Star Wars just sort of sitting there, the original trilogy.
Yes, because this is what I forced my girlfriend to do.
Yeah, and I
forced her to watch all of these movies, which she hadn't seen.
I really have. For like a decade, I just had no interest in watching the original trilogy, and the problem with that is that I grew up with the VHS set, and every year I would watch all 3 on a Saturday. I would sit down, watch.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd watch all 3 movies in one sitting.
It never occurred to me to marathon through the 3 movies in one sitting when I was younger.
Yeah.
The first point when it did was when
I ruined my Return of the Jedi tape doing that. VHS, wow. People. VHS. The tape, like as soon as the Death Star explodes, it's mangled. Yeah. And I still have that VHS. It's just, I can't watch that anymore because the tape is mangled.
Okay.
I really wish there was more we can talk about The Force Awakens, but unfortunately there's not.
We don't know anything about it.
We don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
There's only rumors, and again, there's so many rumors that I have no idea what the fuck is actually true and what is not. I want it to be the best thing I've ever seen ever.
And it won't be.
And it won't be.
It can't be.
And that's the problem, is that like
you know what? It might be for somebody.
They need to rebuild the faith for me. I need that faith in Star Wars rebuilt.
Well, let me ask you a question. What was the last movie that you were like, I'm so happy that I saw this. I really love this.
The last movie that
I really love what they did here. I'm surprised that they did it. I'm surprised they won't let them do it. To me, it's probably District 9.
Yeah. So basically, what we're saying is that I'm really looking forward to The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Shitty title, but that's okay. I'm used to Star Wars with shitty titles.
Really shitty title, man. I really wish that was different. I really wish it was, I don't know, anything else. Not anything else, but I really wish they'd kind of gone with something that wasn't that. Because whatever it means, I don't fucking think it's a good idea.
Well, you have like Gollum saying there's been an awakening in the thing, because that's Andy Serkis.
It is Andy Serkis.
That is Andy Serkis. Okay. Says there's been an awakening. I have no idea what the fuck that means. What the fuck is an awakening in the Force? Let me ask you that question. What is an awakening in the Force?
Whatever. Whatever they decide to tell me it is, and that's what I'll believe. But it's a dumb idea, right?
Is it?
Kind of.
I have no idea if it is.
It's the fucking Force.
Well,
it should be ethereal. It should be this fucking
midichlorians.
Yeah, I was hoping they'd kind of like mitigate that, right?
Well, they kind of dropped that after the first movie, really.
Did they? Did it never come up again?
No, not really.
Really?
It came up in the Clone Wars with in the final season with Yoda. Now the midichlorians and the Force sort of works together. It's been a while since I've seen that, though.
I remember 2 episodes of that where one, they ended up on like some planet, and there was one person who was like this guy was the dark side, and his sister was the light side. And then
Oh yeah. That was
father
more
was
about
there
the
and-
balance of the force and kind of
That's
thing.
fucking bullshit, man.
Yeah.
That was a fucking garbage fucking idea. And then I remember a Yoda thing where Yoda's talking to, I don't know, these old Sith Lords or something like that, and somehow this connects to him in some like mind fight with
Yeah.
the Emperor.
That was the final season. It was like the last story arc.
Yeah, it was all pretty garbage, and even that was like less garbage than the previous garbage.
Well, it was less garbage than like the prequel trilogy put together. It was still far more interesting.
Sure, but
I found it far more.
I mean, all of it I found not as give me something that strikes me as much as that original trilogy. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for them to hit me with that kind of shit.
Yeah,
They're not.
that's what we're all hoping for with
Yeah.
the next sequel trilogy.
And you know what? On one level, you're right. Where I don't think they can meet that.
They can't.
I don't think they can.
Here's the question. So we have The Force Awakens 2015, Episode 8 2017, Episode 9 2019.
Wait, aren't there other movies? Like I thought they're putting
in
out a movie
between.
every year.
Yeah, there's a movie every year.
Okay.
But basically what you're going to have is
So there is a movie that's coming out in 2016.
Yeah, Rogue One with Felicity Jones as the main
Okay.
character.
Are
Nobody
they
knows
shooting
what
that?
Yeah, they're shooting that in Mexico.
What now?
No, not yet. They're
I mean,
gonna,
2016 is next year.
yeah, they're going to be shooting very, very, very soon. They have Pinewoods. They're shooting in Pinewoods and
Pinewood in.
in London
Okay,
or England,
right.
and I believe that they're shooting on location in Mexico for some reason of
Okay.
some sort. Okay, so are you looking forward to Star Wars: The Force Awakens?
Yeah, of course. So are you,
I am, with trepidation.
and I feel the same.
Do you feel that if The Force Awakens is really good, will you be surprised if it's like at A New Hope or, God forbid,
Buddy, if this thing surprises me, it'll be like maybe my second or third favorite film of all time.
so you feel like this could be a renaissance for Star Wars?
It's not gonna be.
But
My problem with that is this: J.J. Abrams did that already. He did it with Star Trek.
I don't
Star
feel
Trek-
they did that with Star Trek.
The Star Trek movie he made was so good, and I was very down on it. I was very much like, I don't want to see a goddamn prequel. I don't want to see them reboot these goddamn people. And it was amazing. He can't do it again. He doesn't have that because he did it already, and he can't make that movie again.
So yeah, J.J. Abrams, he rebooted Star Trek. It was good. It was great. As far as reboots go, it was really, really well done. Into Darkness was terrible, I found.
Sure, but really, it was just about. My point is just that he did that already. He rebooted that franchise,
Mm-hmm.
and probably what he used up in himself and the way he expelled what he needed to in order to make that movie, which he has said was his Star Wars movie because he didn't think he would touch that franchise.
Yep.
Is done. So he's done it. He finished that, and now that he's got a Star Wars movie to work with, I don't think those same urges in terms of how he wanted to put it out there and what he wanted to put into it and how he wanted to do it exist, because I think he expended that stuff. So we'll see if it's a good movie or not. But I also feel like, I mean, this is a really hard franchise to work on.
It is.
Everybody wants to, and nobody will get a chance to do what they want to do because it has so much history, has so many fans, and honestly, one fan may love it and another fan may hate it.
That's definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
What I feel, and correct me if you feel different, is that I feel that J.J. Abrams is the perfect person to do Star Wars Episode 7 because he feels kind of George Lucas-y in a lot of ways. And then Rian Johnson is the perfect Empire Strikes Back.
I don't know what I don't have an opinion about about Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
I will say that J.J. Abrams is one of the best choices. The only other choice that probably would have been better, not better, but I guess something that I would also have some kind of confidence in would really be someone that I did not know, who's probably making movies in Asia that are fantastic. Because there is a real huge element of Asian mythology and Asian filmmaking, which influenced the original Star Wars, which, when I've now seen a lot of Kurosawa stuff, to me, it's like hearkening back to Star Wars, but really, that's what Star Wars was doing. It was introducing these Kurosawa elements to a broad
Western.
American audience. And so that's probably what it is that is unfathomable, really, that makes Star Wars good, I think.
For me, I feel like J.J. Abrams is a great choice for Episode 7 because he's introducing all new characters. These are going to be...
Out of any American director, he's the guy.
Yeah.
Easily.
He's going to basically introduce brand new characters, which is basically what this...
But wait, is Lindelof on this thing?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's not. Because I fucking hate Lindelof.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I don't have that same problem, but I'm sure he wishes he was.
He totally wishes he was.
He'll be on one of them.
No. Anyway, so what I'm actually hoping for and what I'm looking at is that you have J.J. Abrams introducing these characters. And J.J. Abrams is really, really good at set pieces.
Okay.
But as diving deep into a character, he's not as good.
But Star Wars doesn't really dive that deep. We kind of...
In Empire Strikes... Hold on. So now think about Empire Strikes Back with Lawrence Kasdan. Sure. That was them diving into these characters and basically hurting them. And I think Rian Johnson is a perfect person to do the Empire Strikes Back version of this sequel trilogy.
We'll have to see. We don't know what the first one is yet.
I know. And that's the thing that's... I feel like...
What are they diving into?
I have no
Am I going to dive into Boyega's background? Because I don't know if I care or not yet.
We'll find out.
There we go.
And I believe with that...
That's a good place to end this thing.
That is a very good place to end this thing.
So we're done talking Star Wars, which we will embargo again.
Yep.
For quite a while.
We'll touch upon it every so often, but we won't dive into it too much.
Yeah. We may have addendums to this conversation because there's too much. Star Wars is a huge property.
And I believe we both grew up on it, so.
Yeah, and we have lots of opinions about probably lots of different things. But for now, I'm Jay.
And I'm D.
And that's it for today. We'll see you guys later.